Hey guys, so it is around 7 a.m. in Cordoba, and I have to be honest with you, I don't feel the desire at all to visit the mosque cathedral, even though I live right across it. It's just been Fajr. I think that Cordoba should serve as a reminder for all Muslims of what could happen when we lose Islam. Cordoba has people who look completely like Arabs. They have names even sometimes like Arabs. The streets, they breathe Islam. The names, the architecture, the inscriptions. It's completely, it could have been a Muslim village, but the people are drinking. There's not a lot of people who are dressed modestly like Mary, except for the Muslims. Islam is not here at all. There's no Muslims except for the people visiting like me. And I think this is a warning for all of us Muslims, what happens when we don't stick together, because that's also the story of Cordoba, right? Like the little kingdoms that were supposed to work together and be part of a larger caliphate, they started turning on each other. They started fighting for power. They started, not being one anymore, as we are actually instructed in Islam. And I think that is the most valuable, I think that's the most valuable lesson we can get when we are here in Cordoba, that this could be us. There's bars named mezquita, named mosque. There's people who look like us. There's people who have names like us, but they're not Muslims. That could be us. And I think that that's the lesson of Cordoba that we should take away. I do think it's disrespectful that in Cordoba, 3 million Muslims have been exiled in, I think it was 1609. And this city basically fetishizes Muslims. I'm not kidding, okay? They fetishize Muslims. I'm going to tell you how. They basically sell like name tags in Arabic for €2. They have like all these places named after like Arabic names, like the mosque. You can go to the mosque and drink. There's just so many little details. They love our architecture, they love our language, they love the places to eat there, which have like, Arab music in the background. But I'm like, where is the commemoration of the fact that you kicked out 3 million Muslims simply because they were Muslim? Where is the commemoration of the fact that being Muslim here was actually punishable by death? Where are the people who are feeling sorry? Like, why isn't Spain as a country feeling sorry about that? Like, why aren't they mentioning that? And instead, they made a tourist attraction out of it. And I just want you to think about it. Like, to be honest, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not like I truly care, like I want to have a monument or something. But it's like, for example, when it comes to like Auschwitz, a place where Jewish people have been hurt. Do you see yourself like buying name tags in like Hebrew and like mingling in a place called synagogue just for fun? Like making an entire tourist attraction out of it, full of like a leisure and just fun, and just like as if it is like the funniest thing ever. That's what happened here. And I do think that's it's like, I wouldn't say unfair, because anything that happens, it's Allah's choice for us, but I would say it's very hypocritical of countries like this one, And I'll say one thing. Allah's choice is always the best choice, right? This was supposed to happen. This calamity was supposed to happen to us Muslims because we were supposed to learn something. And I think everybody who comes here, they need to think about what it was that we were supposed to learn. And I don't think it is that, we need to come here to Cordoba and then be like, oh, we Muslims were so great. We Muslims were so this, we were so that. No, we were here because Muslims were in Cordoba. The entire of Europe was just in poverty because we were so rich, we were so wealthy, so advanced, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to living standards, when it comes to science, technology, education, we were so advanced. But we didn't make it in the end. We didn't make it because we were not united. We were not behaving like Muslims were supposed to behave. And there's a warning in that. One thing that I am so reminded of being here in Cordoba is the fact that other religions and people, they really do fetishize Muslims though. And this was something that was already happening when Al-Andalus was still Muslim. It was known that the Christians at that time were voluntarily learning Arabic because they liked it so much, They were obviously impressed with like the science and innovation of the Muslims. And so they would want to be a part of that, even learning about the Quran, even learning about Arabic, reading our poetry, reading our literature. And this was something that Christians, and like especially prominent Christians, were very concerned with, that Christian youth was just being very involved with Muslims and Islamic culture. And I think that is something that is still very much present. If you look at what's going on right now here in Cordoba, they're still fetishizing Muslims. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Why would you pay like a few euros just to get your name in Arabic? Like, why would you want to go to a bar just because it's named after a Muslim concept? I don't think they're doing it to mock us. They really do want to go to these places where you have like Arab music in the background, and I can see them walk in and they feel like very special, like they're very like intrigued by it, but they like, it's literally fetishizing, like nothing else. Look at these beautiful trees, by the way. I love that all over the city you have like orange trees or tangerine trees. I think that's really nice. Anyways, the fetishization of Muslims is not something that even stopped when Muslims started getting expelled from Cordoba, because even when Al-Andalus fell, there was still, for example, in Sevilla, a Christian king who made his palace with Quranic inscriptions. And so it's something that they still really liked, they still really admired, and that they continued, like the Islamic architecture as well as the Quran. They really appreciated that, and that's not something that's just that's something that's very particular about this region. Even in the US right now, right, you have places like Yale and Harvard where they have Quranic inscriptions on the walls as well. There's many places in the world where they credit Islam for what it has brought to the world. But I will say that, what is happening here and the way that they are treating what happened in Cordoba as a kind of like, something to just glance over. It's a bit hypocritical for Europeans to do that, because they love to just talk and talk and talk about all the injustice that they have suffered. And again, I don't care if we get a monument or not. I don't care if they want to think about it or not. It's just that I don't think that a Muslim really should pour in money just to kind of be part of the celebration here. There's nothing to celebrate. I think a calamity befell us because we didn't do the right thing, and Allah literally took away, this place and these beautiful mosques. And guys, the buildings are so beautiful. The entire landscapes, you can see that it was just built for beauty. Look at it. It's incredible. These were built by Muslims, by the way. And we lost that. There's lessons in that. And I just want to say another thing. Being a Muslim in Cordoba, I think it's so special because you can see that Muslims who are in Cordoba are the most Christian thing about the place, okay? Because we are the ones who actually still dress like Maryam, may Allah be pleased with her. We are the ones who still greet others like Jesus did, Isa alayhi salam, we say Assalamu alaikum to each other. Like the Muslims in the street of Cordoba, when they meet each other, you just randomly see each other, you recognize the headscarf and you're like Assalamu alaikum. And, it's something that we Muslims still do, but, obviously the Christians have lost that tradition. They've lost, emulating also Jesus, which is very important for them in their religion. But even that, you will see that people have left behind Christianity in this town as well. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, the churches have started worshipping idols, which is not allowed in Christianity. You can see that the streets of Cordoba are filled with people getting intoxicated, which is not allowed in Christianity. You can see that, you know, there's nudity, images of nudity around the cathedral mosque, which is not allowed in Christianity. And I think these things show to me that this used to be maybe a Christian place, but it's also lost Christianity. Instead, you'll see like a lot of like idol worshipping. You'll see like Christmas, for example, which is a very pagan holiday, is very much glorified. Santa Claus, you can see statues of Santa Claus like super big everywhere. And I find that just so weird. Like there's Christian, like the Christmas decorations, which have nothing to do with Christianity, by the way. And even so that, you know, there's verses in the Bible that say that you should not put trees in your house and decorate them with silver ornaments. And you can see that all over the city. And these things, like, they make me feel like it's a place that's seen a lot of religions, but clearly it has lost them as well. And then finally, I want to say another thing, you know, like apart from the fact that there is no commemoration of like all the crimes that have happened against humanity in Cordoba against Muslims. I mean, 3 million Muslims have been exiled, you know, in the 17th century. But on top of that, there's also thousands of Muslims who have been killed. You know, millions of them have been, they had to leave their belongings behind. Like they've been robbed by the state. You know, they've taken like so much money. Obviously, if you're going to take money from 3 million Muslims, that's a lot of Muslims, right? And there is no place where they commemorate that here. Obviously, that's not something I have to tell you. But then on top of that, I do think that they also whitewash our culture. Like, for example, you'll see statues of Averroes everywhere, Averroes. And when you see that meme, like initially you will be like, oh, you know, that must be like a European thinker, but it's actually Ibn Rushd. And then I feel like, why are they not crediting also like our Muslim scholars properly, right? I mean, I was just in the British Museum like a few days ago, and I mean, the same thing still happens there, but it also happens here. And, you know, a lot of times people say to me, you know, it's like a hate against Islam, it's a hate against Islam. And that's why a lot of people are also against the using the definition of Islamophobia, or like using the term Islamophobia. Because what they say is when people use the term Islamophobia, they make it seem like they're actually scared of Islam, and it's actually a hate against Islam. And I would say that's not true. I do think there is a fear of Islam, and that Islamophobia is actually the right term. And I'm going to tell you why, because like, if I tell you that during Al-Andalus, when this was still a Muslim country, Christians were voluntarily learning Arabic, learning about the Quran. You know, they were drawn to the religion. When you look at all the scholars we've had, you know, who come from these Muslim lands and who have, you know, who had Islam as their religion, that was something that was very intimidating, you know, to the rulers, to the people who wanted to have power, because they also realized that if the people would follow Islam, they could not have subjects who would want to be part of their kingdom and fight for them, you know, as, for example, Christian prominent people. And so I do believe there is a fear of Islam and not necessarily a hate of Islam. Obviously, you can hate something that you fear because you don't like to be scared. Like, nobody likes to be scared. But I do think that the term Islamophobia is actually really correct in this sense. Anyways, I could talk about this forever. I think the city is beautiful, again, but I feel I would rather go to like a Muslim country and enjoy like a city that respects a culture and a religion. Even go to, like, if I could go to a Christian country and see like how they practice their faith and like good people and who really, you know, honor the teachings of the Bible. I would like to see that, but this isn't it.